fear, um, do you think that fear is being manipulated? Actually, that the fear is an instrument that is being used to manipulate the people. Because at the end of the day, somebody is in charge. Somebody is in charge of the narration. And whether the outcome is what the person or this group of people want or not, they have the power to be able to make a decision based on the outcome of this manipulation, if you want to put it like that. Because the fear that have now been sold into the mind of the people lead to something else. And sometimes you can say, okay, maybe that is not what they want. If that is not what they want, the narration should change. In any case, what I'm trying to ask you are the people being manipulated through fear, or are they just yet do not understand that they need to be able to overcome this?
No, I don't think that fear is being used to manipulate people. I've traveled internationally, Obehi, and one of the things that kind of hurts my feelings sometimes when I travel is that people love to say that Americans are dumb, that we're just dumb and we don't get things. And I'm like, no, we're far from dumb. And so, no, I don't think fear is being used to manipulate people. What I do think is happening, though, is that fear is monetized. So if I can get you to be afraid of Black people, to be afraid of poor people, to have this foreboding that you're going to be attacked in your home and they're going to steal your stuff and kill your dog and so I monetize fear. So in order for you to feel safe, then you need to buy, the top of the line ADT product. And every time they make a new one, you run out and get it because you want to be able to monitor your house wherever you are because you don't want to. We need to slow it down. There's nothing wrong with a home security. There's nothing wrong with, having, guns because you want to protect your family, or even if you, want to go hunting, whatever. But you need to make sure that your decisions are making sense and in line with what you truly value and believe. I think sometimes we kind of opt out of being deliberate in our decision making, but that's not because we're being manipulated by the gun industry. We're being manipulated by multimedia and they've got an agenda. No, no, no. Each individual who's a functioning adult needs to be deliberate about the decisions that they make. And when you figure out that something in your life has been monetized so that it can extract the greatest amount of profit for someone else, as opposed to what's the best and most beneficial for myself, for my community, for my children, you may need to slow your thinking processes down to ask some better questions and come up perhaps with some different options. There is no law against monetizing things in the United States. There's no law against commodifying it, with a few exceptions. You can legally buy some sex in Las Vegas, I believe, but you can't legally buy some sex somewhere else. But just a few exceptions. We will allow people to monetize and commodify things because that's our country and who our country is. And it's not their responsibility to figure out why you are spending money on meth, why you are spending money on crack, why you are spending money on cigarettes, why you are spending money on alcohol, why you are spending money on gun after gun after gun. That's not their job. It's my job to figure out my habits. It's your job to figure out your habits. And if you figure out that some person or a corporation is getting rich over some stuff in your life that you haven't dealt with, you need to deal with those things. And two things I'm telling you, and I'm saying it publicly, that we all need to look at is our fear factor. Are there things in our life that we are just so gripped with fear about that we'll spend a ton of money to avoid dealing with, as opposed to really answering? And if we're smoking because of that, if we're drinking because of that, if we're shooting up because of that, or if we're stocking guns because of that, that's something we need to look at. And that's not the responsibility of any industry or group of people or stockholders. That's my job as a functioning adult. I'm sorry. I know you didn't call me to preach, but yeah,
No. You're welcome. We accept it.
Responsibility. I don't like this conspiracy theory. They're trying to kill us all. No, we need to make better decisions mothers need to, fathers need to, legislatures need to, preachers need to, anybody that's a functioning adult needs to make better, more informed decisions. And don't pass the buck. Don't allow theories to make decisions where you should be making decisions. And you should be okay if you make a decision that is contrary to how the trend is going, if you really made that decision out of conviction.
Now, from the point of view of history, when you look at the past and the present, looking at the situation you see today, how do you feel?
I feel very optimistic, but you have to know, and this is a disclaimer, I'm very Pollyanna. I'm half glass full. So I'm not a gloom and doom, fire and brimstone. No, I'm very Pollyanna about it. I'll use this as an anecdote. I read that Fannie Lou Hamer, who was one of the pillars of the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party, she traveled all over the South. She registered people to vote in Mississippi. She was one of, if not the voice for those freedom songs we now sing. She would turn Baptist gospel hymns into freedom songs, and they would sing them on the bus and all this stuff. And one night she was arrested, and they beat Fannie Lou Hamer in the head and could have killed her almost to the point of unconsciousness, beat this Black woman and left her on a concrete floor in the Mississippi jail. And do you know that when she was interviewed about that, all she had to say is that if I have to go through that to make it better, this is a quote verbatim, for some child. If I have to go through that to make it better for some child, I'm some child, Obehi. I graduated from an Ivy League. I have a doctorate. People call me for my opinion. I am some child. And I know that we have not arrived. We have not. The life expectancy for Black people is drastically different than white Americans. The incarceration rate for Black men is abysmal. Heart disease among Black women, abysmal. I'm not going to sit here and say, hey, I'm so happy we've arrived. We had a Black president. And I'm happy we had a Black president. I voted for him both times. But the election of former President Barack Obama and his beautiful wife, Mrs. Michelle Obama, that wasn't a harbinger that, all the problems of Black America are over. But their ascension to that White House, become the first family, a family of color, does signal that some things have changed. And for that, I have some optimism. I also have optimism for the changes that I'll never see, Obehi. There are some things I'll never get a chance to see because I'm not going to live to be 300. But if we support our young people, if we tell them that you have every right to voice what you believe your country should be and what you owe the country and what the country owes you, if we support them, then they're going to press for change. I'll give another anecdote. When I was at Wellesley, I went there at 18. I'm still a Christian. And I spoke out openly against homosexuality. I said that I don't approve of homosexuality, but I don't think that it's right to be unkind or cruel to someone who is homosexual. And the women at Wellesley who identified as homosexual were crushed that I said that publicly. They felt that I had set the school back decades because they had worked so long to be able to be visible, to be seen, and here this very outspoken, eloquent, Black Southern girl who's a Christian said she didn't approve. Now, it's been 30 plus years since I graduated from Wellesley, and I sit on the board of a Black trans women organization. So this organization was started by people who were born biologically male, but who identify as a woman, dress, talk, live, have children, have marriages. So they're a woman, as I am a woman, but a Black trans woman. I'm on the board of directors. My sister identifies as a lesbian, and I'm very proud. I'm always doing things that just show, you would think that I'm a part of their community, wearing colors, cheering, loving the women that she's in love with, being there, being present. What am I getting at? That at any given moment, when someone shows that they are bigoted or they are short-sighted, or that their definition of liberty or freedom or love is limited, there's still hope. There's still hope for them. I'm not the same. 30 years later, I enlarged my definition of love to embrace them.